how did I get into anime, and why did I quit anime for so many years, and why did I come back. Here's your boring generic story of somebody who grew up in America as a kid in the 90s, and what kind of road I went through in anime. I grew up with what your average kid would be exposed to in the 90s. The terrifying anime section at Blockbuster, or at the video rental store back when you used to rent VHS tapes. Back then, you got to wake up on Saturday mornings to watch anime. Early, I think 6, 7 a.m. These are back in the days of when Adult Swim first started, and Toonami when we had the first Tom. The earliest memories I have of anime, it comes down to three things. The first thing is, one of my earliest memories is watching Kiki's Delivery Service, a Studio Ghibli from Hayao Miyazaki. That was, I don't remember when I saw it, but I was very young, and it had a big influence on my personality because people in Studio Ghibli films are very kind, and it's not like the kind of things you were exposed to in the West, and that had an influence on me. The second thing that had influence on me was television. Going to middle school and waking up at 7 in the morning to watch Pokemon, the first season, and Sailor Moon. That went on for a while. And the third thing is also, so actually four things. And the third thing is watching or getting home from high school to watch Toonami, catch Dragon Ball Z. I didn't get into Trigon. I didn't get into a lot of anime actually, but I did get into Dragon Ball Z. Watched all of that. Went to Target and went to buy the Future of Trunks back when they used to sell VHS tapes at Target. That was quite the time. The fourth thing is Adult Swim, and it's probably the latter of the four. This is where I was introduced to anime such as Fooly Cooly and Cowboy Bebop. The funny thing about this is that my dad would get off from his job as soon as Cowboy Bebop would start. So when he'd get home, he would tell me to go to sleep. By that time, Cowboy Bebop was just about over. So sometimes he would get back home earlier and I'd miss an episode. And I still remember the first episode that I watched was Heavy Metal Queen. And I remember being fascinated because I had never seen anything like that before. And I would just keep watching. Ghost in the Shell standalone complex would play next, but by that time it was way past my so-called bedtime during that time. So I always saw the opening to Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, but I never got to actually watch the show. Then Fooly Cooly came around, and Haruko became a huge influence on my sense of humor. How she's very sarcastic and prank-like and just likes to dig into you just for fun. Besides that, later on, around the same time, I would hear of Yu-Gi-Oh! The first season. Digimon, the first season. I remember I wrote a fanfic for Digimon where Mimi was the main character. This was, I think, early 2000s. Maybe even late 90s. It was on a very, very old computer my dad threw away because it quote-unquote took up space. A shame because a lot of very terrible things that I tried to write on my own were in that computer. And they put it outside. Somebody probably grabbed it and went through all that. But I still remember when Pokemon, the first movie came out, it was pretty big. It was like everybody but me saw it. I remember the trailer for Pokemon the movie 2000 being very impressed by it when it had that synth music that was half orchestrated. And from there, things really slowed down. I stopped watching anime for a long time because I wasn't really exposed. I was exposed to anime that I was really interested in, but I didn't realize at the time that wasn't what was for me. So from the era from 2007 to 2014, maybe even 15, maybe even 16, all I watched that was new were a bunch of Studio Ghibli films. At the time, I thought that was all I thought that was all there was to really watch. I thought those were the big movies. that were the best that anime had to offer. Little did I know, I knew nothing by saying that, and I gave it up. There were years where I just completely stopped watching anime, and then there was one moment where I decided to check anime out again, and what made me get back into anime, and this was 2 years ago. It was very recent. I was a late bloomer towards the more serious intellectual side of what anime has to offer, the more meaningful side. But however, I had always heard of Neon Genesis Evangelion, but I had never watched it out of procrastination. And this went on for years. I just didn't. This was the one anime that I had always heard so much about, that was stuck in my head, but I could never make myself come to watch it out of just straight up procrastination and giving up on the medium in general. And then one day I told myself, okay, I'm just gonna watch it. Back when I used to use Tumblr in 2007, I found out about Gogo Anime, and that's okay. I'm gonna put it up because I want the uncensored version. I don't want one of these modern censored versions with modified dialogue. And so I watched Evangelion, and it changed my life. It changed my perspective on anime altogether. And so I dove back into it. It was around this time that I just did a whole deep dive. I went back to A on 4chan and just kind of lurked for a bit. I'd always been there for years and years and years. I just never posted. I also went through YouTube, and I read a lot, and I tried to see what were the anime that were making people tick. But I was very careful about what I was looking at. I wasn't gonna just watch any anime. I wanted to watch the ones that were known for being influential and historical. This is what led me to anime such as Textualize. That it's some anime that really makes you think. Zero Experiments Lane. And then from there, my strategy was, if I liked an anime, I would look to where it branched out and watch everything that was related to it. So when I watched Zero Experiments Lane, that led me to Nia 7, Textualize, Ghost Town, Hambare Rembe. That's sort of how I was watching anime. I would look for something that I know I heard high praise for, and just see where the staff branches out and watch their projects. From there on, I would just go to different forums and see what gets talked about and why people enjoy it. That led me to a lot of random anime from the 90s, 2000s. I had given up on newer anime because I fell under that false idea that all anime is garbage now, and little did I know that it's not. Is what the issue is. I just wasn't watching enough anime, and I found out that there will always be good anime, and there will always be bad anime, and that is how it started. That is how it is, and that is how it always will be if you look hard enough. So if anybody ever tells you anime is terrible now, all of it, they need to watch more anime. From there on, it became like a research project to see what I wanted to watch. I would look up producers and episode directors and animation directors and sound directors, screenplay writers. Just dove straight in. I looked for the more obscure type of anime. And it didn't matter if something was bad, because at least if I watch something that's bad, it gives me perspective. And so more recently, I have just been diving deep into the rabbit hole. If you go on my Mal and you look at my favorites list, that'll give you an idea of what I've been appreciating the most lately. But I have so many plans, so much anime that I want to watch, and I started so late. I wish I could have started 15 years ago. But then again, maybe I don't. Maybe it's better that I start now, because I think I could understand it better now. I think there are a lot of people who watched a lot of anime when they were in their when they were 15, 20, but now they have a completely different mindset, and I think they have a completely different outlook. If they were to watch it again today than back then, they will probably understand it better today than back then. So that's the only advantage I have of being so late to anime, and I have so much that I want to watch. Lately, I've been just digging through, like for example, Galaxy Express 39, which led me to Captain Harlock. I've been looking into Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which is why Best Boy is on the screen right now. I have a lot of content for Legend of the Galactic Heroes if you're interested on this channel. And I've decided to watch seasonal anime. Because what I want to bring is an opinion of somebody who not just watches new anime, but has watched retro anime. I think that gives a unique perspective, because it seems like when you're a YouTube creator when you're an anime YouTube content creator, it seems they only watch new anime or they only watch retro anime. And a lot of times people who watch new anime, they call all the old anime outdated, and which is completely false and ignorant. And a lot of people who watch retro anime are like elitists that don't watch anything that's new because they think it's so bad, which is also ignorant. And so I'm somebody that's in the middle between all this. And I'm very open-minded. I give everything a chance. Even if I don't like an anime, I'll still finish it, because at least if I finish an anime, I can justify having an opinion as to why I don't like it. Me telling you why I don't like an anime after watching the whole thing is much stronger and more relevant and more correct, I could say, or means more than somebody who has only watched the one episode and tells you why they don't like it. And so for the past 2 years, I have really dug into anime. After so many years of casually watching and not watching anything at all, and just watching more of the mainstream, I've learned to appreciate the obscure, which shouldn't even be obscure. It's just that people just don't know. People watch whatever gets the most advertisement, whatever has the most money behind it. I think that's horrible, because the anime today that has the most money behind it isn't always the best. And this led to me on my current journey, which is to go back toward the 70s, 80s anime. That led me to, as I explained before, Galaxy Express 39. I recommended 2 movies. If you haven't seen them, Legend of Galactic Heroes, you have to watch that one. It's mandatory. I would call it mandatory. I got introduced to good films like Fist of the North Star. There's In the Geist. Some Studio Ghibli films. If you were to watch Studio Ghibli, I would say I would say my favorite Ghibli film is Porco Rosso. It's also a film that nobody watches because they didn't like the cover. And I made the same mistake. For years, I did not watch Porco Rosso because I did not like the cover. I was expecting your young protagonist girl on it, and I made a terrible mistake of judging a book by its cover. So do not ever not watch something because it looks ugly. And even in modern times, Odd Taxi is Porco Rosso all over again. Nobody wants to watch Odd Taxi because it looks ugly. It's actually not ugly. It actually has cute drawings in it if you're looking for cute drawings. Anyways. And that's pretty much the journey that I went through. I don't really think I have anything else to add to this. That's all I have.